does not want to raise revenues in our country, why aren't we making a much bigger issue of that?
What's your name? Yvonne?
Yes, sir.
They all know you over here. How much time do you have? So I have two thoughts on this, but I'll be brief. I wrote something about this, which is going to be published next month, and it gets at what you're talking about. I went to school with Grover Norquist. We were college classmates, and I'll never forget first of all, does everybody know who Grover Norquist is? Yeah. Anybody not know? Okay. So Grover Norquist invented, what's it called, the tax? What's that? Something tax. He invented the No New Taxes pledge. He's very, very influential among the hard right. And I remember sitting with Grover Norquist when we were in sophomores in college, trying to explain libertarianism to me. We sat in the Dunster House dining room, and I said, Grover, this sounds great. I said, until you introduce reality. At our 25th reunion, this is now, some years ago, there was this panel organized of people who were or had been in public life. And I was out of the Clinton administration at that point, a couple of other people from the Clinton administration, and Grover, and some folks from the other, the spectrum. And all the graduates, there were hundreds and their families, and we had a ball, just talking about politics and policy. And it was at a time when George W. Bush was in the White House, and riding high, I think it was right after the invasion of Iraq. And his poll numbers were through the roof. And Grover came up and who was running then something called the K Street Project, which was the, remember that? So he got up and made a presentation about why there would be a permanent Republican majority. And someone raised their hand and said, come on, Grover, one day a Democrat's going to win the White House. And Grover's response without hesitation was, we will make it so that a Democrat cannot govern as a Democrat. Someone else raised their hand and said, well, what does that mean? And he went on to explain, in effect, that we will bankrupt this country. Now, everybody did what they always did with Grover, which is to say, oh, that's what they did. That's what they did. And so now we find ourselves in a time where every economist and everybody with common sense says that the solution to our fiscal issues is balance, a combination of cuts and revenue. And to get that revenue, some equity in the tax system, right? Some equity in the tax system. But we can't even have a mature debate about that because of how, well, thank you. Thank you for saying yes, we can, but the way that people in political life get cover for that conversation is back to the grassroots. You gotta say, it's okay to talk about solutions that are balanced, as long as there's equity in it. And if you give us that space, we'll have that conversation, and I'm ready for it.
Washington State, just so you know how dramatic a problem this has created for us, okay? We have an individual who lives up in Snohomish County that does all these ballot measures, right? So we have to raise revenue, a 2/3 majority vote requirement, right? You can't get it without Republican votes. I went into this session, thank you, sir, for your comment, to raise revenue for education because we have cut too much, we've made tuition too high, and we've got to get back to basics. I couldn't get the 2/3, not because they wouldn't have considered voting for it, but because when they ran for office, they took the pledge. And they were not going to violate the pledge because as far as they were concerned, if they did that, they would guarantee they would not get re-elected. So just so this Norquist pledge is not something hypothetical in Washington, D.C., it's alive and well in Washington State. And I gotta tell you, when we walked into this legislative session, and we were down a projected $2 billion out of a $31 billion budget. I'm sorry, I couldn't see us getting out of that without raising revenue. We were fortunate enough to get a good forecast, a good caseload forecast, and I found a little new idea that they used, so they actually got some revenue. But think what would have happened if we didn't have it. I came to the reality there was only one place to go, and that was to the people to get any new revenue in Washington State. I think that's an embarrassment that our elected officials handcuffed because they took some stupid pledge not to raise revenue.
We're so very, very proud of. The benediction is forthcoming, but my brother has one more question.
Governor Patrick, my question's kind of loaded, and I want to make sure that I asked you first. Do you have aspirations for 2016? Governor Gregoire said that's not really a question, that's an answer.
I have aspirations for every year. But they are not political aspirations. Now, I finished my term in 2014. We don't have term limits in Massachusetts, so I could run again. But I have a term limit named Diane. So I'm going to go back into private life, and I hope there'll be some other opportunity where I can contribute. And we'll see what that is. But I'm not being cute. I don't have if you're asking me if I'm planning to run for president in 2016, no, I'm not planning to run. All I'm focused on is Barack Obama winning re-election and having a sword and successful second term.
We won't keep you any longer. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Eternal God.
You want to be here.
Rhode Island and Massachusetts. They still have
Oh, yeah?
We're going to Portland, but that's his time.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm running against, I'm the one that took the 140 elected officials getting off Ronald Temple Lee. So I'm really, in there. McDermott is going to be hard.
Thank you. Thanks for being a part of it.
Hey, Governor Betty, two things. The brother that asked me to say something at the end, we didn't have time. He wanted me to say something because we had Clinton come out back in '92. We had a good meeting, never asked for anything, and he was gone. Hey, would it be possible to mention to Obama that if he has any clergy meetings, to not forget us out there? We get left out, and it's the United Black Clergy. Herbert Carey is a great contact. But I didn't want him to have to do it. You know what I mean? If you contact him, he'll put you in contact with our president. And not leave us out, so we're part of that conversation. The last thing is from time to time, you're going to have African Americans that you meet with. They're going to say, why aren't you doing more to help our people? You know, maybe you got to do most of it. If you say it, it'll sound a little self-serving, like you're trying to get out of it. That's what this book says. I got a better one than that. That's what this book says. You can say, this book and some of the others, Grave stuff, William Graves with Black Enterprise, self-help. I mean, we got to do it ourselves. Some help from the government, so that's why it's a bootstrap. We got to pick ourselves up by bootstrap. Okay?
Governor Patrick.
Governor, I'm from Bedford, Massachusetts. We went in and out of houses. My grandfather was a union steam fitter. Went to Tufts, got scared in chemistry. You're amazing, man. You're a fighter. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for
Really great words.
getting your business card with you. Governor Patrick, thanks for coming out and staying in. I got a lot of family in Massachusetts.
Is that right? I hope they're feeling well served.
Yes, sir. Good. All right, thank you very much, Governor.
You autograph this to my grandson, Matthew. He's 12,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you get your email off this?
You gotta go.
Go to card, okay. Okay, I got the card. Okay, right through me. This post. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we need to get you this. Wait.
All right. Get one more. It took it. Just wait. It'll stop. It'll change. You got it? Good. All right. One more. Oh, okay. Okay.
Good answer. You guys understand,
But I like. You have a card.